Hello and welcome back. It's day 12, and we're in chapter 4, verses 1 through 15. And the book of John says, Now when Jesus learned that the Pharisees had heard that Jesus was making and baptizing more disciples than John, although Jesus himself did not baptize but only his disciples, he left Judea and departed again for Galilee. And he had to pass through Samaria. So he came to a town of Samaria called Sychar, near the field that Jacob had given to his son Joseph. Jacob's well was there, so Jesus, wearied as he was from his journey, was sitting beside the well. It was about the 6th hour. A woman from Samaria came to draw water. Jesus said to her, "Give me a drink," for his disciples had gone away into the city to buy food. The Samaritan woman said to him, "How is it that you, a Jew, ask for a drink from me, a woman of Samaria? For Jews have had no dealings with Samaritans." Jesus answered her, "If you knew the gift of God, and who it is that is saying to you, 'Give me a drink,' you would have asked him, and he would have given you living water." The woman said to him, "Sir, you have nothing to draw water with, and the well is deep. Where do you get that living water? Are you greater than our father Jacob? He gave us the well and drank from it himself, as did his sons and his livestock." Jesus said to her, "Everyone who drinks of this water will be thirsty again. But whoever drinks of the water that I will give him will never be thirsty. The water that I will give him will become in him a spring of water welling up to eternal life." The woman said to him, "Sir, give me this water so that I will not be thirsty or have to come here to draw water." Let's start with a little history. Samaria was once a city of Jews, but when it was later conquered by the Assyrians, it became an area that was a mixture of both Jews and people of pagan religions. This resulted in the Samaritans having religious practices that were in some ways similar to the Jews, but in others significantly different. For this reason, the Jews didn't want anything to do with the Samaritans, so much so that they wouldn't even travel through the area. So to begin with, Jesus is doing something very unusual here. It is not clear that he chose to go through Samaria because he was in a rush, or did he go through Samaria because he knew he had to meet this woman. The reference to Jacob and his son Joseph goes back about 2,000 years, to a time that the Jewish nation was beginning to flourish. Jacob had built a well that not only gave water to the people long after his death, but that well still brings forth water today. The 6th hour is noon, and it's a blazing hot sun out there. Jesus asked this woman for a drink, another thing that the strict religious Jews would never do. And the question shocks the woman. Then Jesus makes a statement that he knows is going to get her thinking. He says, "If you knew the gift of God and who it was that is saying to you, 'Give me a drink,' you would have asked him, and he would have given you living water." Okay, she doesn't get it. And so she stumbles into another question. She says, "Sir, you have nothing to draw with, and the well is deep. Where then do you get that living water?" And she follows that with a question to Jesus, challenging him to state that he's greater than the great Jacob of the past. There's an awful lot to learn here from Jesus as he converses with the Samaritan woman. Frankly, if it were me, I might have just said at this point, "Never mind," and moved on. But that is not what Jesus does. He comes back to her with, "Whoever drinks of this water will thirst again, but whoever drinks of the water that I shall give him will never thirst. But the water that I shall give him will become in him a fountain of water springing up into everlasting life." Of course, the woman says that she wants that water. But just like Nicodemus didn't understand what Jesus said when you must be born again, back in chapter 3, she does not yet understand what Jesus means by this living water. I love the word pictures that we get in the Bible. It helps me understand what God is trying to tell us. Using water for a word picture, we know that we all need water to live, and after only a few days we die. So water is not only needed to live, but also we need water every day. And so it is with our hearts and minds. They need the water of God, or better said, the power of God every day that enables us to live lives of joy and hope as we walk with Him. He is the only source of that life that satisfies the thirst of our souls. So let's wrap it up. Jesus crosses the lines. He doesn't hold back like the Pharisees and Sadducees and the scribes that we're going to hear more about. He doesn't hold back and say, I'm not going to be in the company of people who are not very religious in their lives, or like this woman, an adulterer, a woman who had 5 husbands and now she's living with someone else who's not even her husband. He goes after the sinners, just like us. Secondly, Jesus pushes us to think hard about our lives, and that's a good thing. And then finally, Jesus is patient. As I said before, if I were in his place and I was having this conversation with this woman, I probably would have been out of there after just a little bit, maybe even frustrated that she didn't understand a word I was saying. But he's not done yet. And that's a tremendous encouragement to all of us, because he's not done with us either. He's patient and he's loving. Thanks for listening. I'll see you next time.